Lucy faces a difficult period in her life. The opening exhibits Tumblr-inspired posts to showcase the fun carousel of friendships between Jane and Lucy. Jane, a British American with a charming accent, is her best friend. One morning, Lucy and Jane are picking out their breakfasts. Jane confidently guesses that Lucy will go for a veggie burger with sweet potato fries. Lucy denies it, but when Jane orders, Lucy whispers to the waiter that she does want the veggie burger. She just doesn't want Jane to know and be proven right. Then Jane predicts Lucy will get an iced coffee, black, and they both say it at the same time. Even with these spot-on guesses, Lucy insists that Jane doesn't know her that well. Jane disagrees, saying she understands Lucy better than Lucy realizes. The conversation shifts when Jane asks about Lucy's plans for the evening, and Lucy mentions meeting Ben. Jane points out that Lucy and Ben haven't done the nasty yet, hinting that it is clear Ben likes Lucy a lot. Later, Jane's boyfriend Danny joins them. They talk about Lucy's relationship with Ben, noting its lack of romance. Danny teases, asking when they are going to mess up the bed, crudely suggesting Lucy's intimate parts are getting dusty. Lucy defends her relationship with Ben, saying they are just friends. She mentions how Ben helps her install a shelf and that they always end their hangouts with a handshake, like business partners. Lucy finds this funny, but Danny and Jane aren't laughing. Jane is very much concerned. The scene switches later to Lucy's flat, where Ben and Lucy successfully install a new shelf. By the way, Lucy is a talented painter, though not a professional. She offers Ben a beer in appreciation. As they sit down on the bed, Ben tries to kiss her, but Lucy furled out of bed to avoid him. Disappointed, Ben decides to leave. Lucy tries to stop him, but Ben expresses his frustration, saying that every time he gets close to her, she slips away. Lucy insists that they are just friends. As she extends her hand to shake his, Ben simply hands back the beer and leaves. At a yoga class, Jane tells Lucy she is right, and that she should sleep with Ben. The yoga instructor approaches them and remarks that Jane and Lucy are like sisters in a past life. She then begins the harmonious, relaxing yoga class by playing a rap battle. During the post-session relaxation, while lying on their yoga mats, they talk about being sisters in a past life. Lucy wishes her name was Denise, and they laugh, imagining what names they could have had. Lucy then asks Jane to drive her to work, and Jane happily obliges. As promised, Jane drives Lucy to her job at a wellness center called Cure. Yes, very original. Lucy works there as a receptionist. While Lucy gets settled, Jane goes to the bathroom and discreetly steals a few tampons. Soon after, Brittany arrives, greeting Lucy warmly. Jane sets her eyes on Brittany, who has just finished meditating. Brittany is the new masseuse, and Lucy introduces her to Jane while sucking on lollipops. Brittany seems very friendly and flirtatiously claims to like Lucy. Later at work, Jane gets a funny photo from Lucy. She chuckles over it when her boss, Stu, calls her into his office for a chat. Stu is super serious and straightforward, telling Jane he has gone through her email and electronic communications. Jane panics and hastily explains that she and her colleagues are just Googling male appendages. Suddenly, Stu drops the act and reveals he is just kidding, leaving Jane relieved. He then tells Jane that since she is from London, he wants her to open an office there. He mentions that a chocolate company wants their campaign, and he trusts Jane to run the operation. Jane is overjoyed with the news, excited to elevate her career, and relieved she doesn't need to defend her Google searches. As Jane is leaving, Stu is very specific about how the door of his office should be ajar. Jane keeps swinging the door until she gets it just right before she leaves. At Lucy's work, while she is bored, she sketches a client who is waiting in white robes. Later, she receives a call from Jane, who asks if Lucy wants to get together for some drinks. Lucy is concerned because Jane's invitation is so sudden and spontaneous that she worries it might be due to bad news, like cancer. As they are talking, Brittany walks in, and some items tumble onto the floor. Brittany compliments Lucy on her drawing, to which Lucy replies that it is just doodling, but Brittany thinks otherwise. Later that night, Lucy heads to a bustling bar and meets up with Danny and Jane. She apologizes for being late because she has been Googling herpes. Jane, knowing Lucy all too well, orders a tequila for her. Lucy loves the drink and asks them what is up. Jane then shares her exciting news about her promotion, adding that she is being transferred to London to start a new office. When Lucy learns that Jane has accepted the offer, she tries to act happy for her, repeatedly saying it is awesome and that Jane deserves it. Jane thinks it would be good for her to spend her adulthood in London, since she grew up there before moving to the United States. Danny will also be joining her in the transfer, and Jane mentions that she expects Danny might propose to her in London. Jane confesses that it feels weird to uproot herself from her usual life and friends. Lucy is happy for her and assures Jane that she will be fine with a big smile. Later, Lucy cries non-stop in the toilet, asking if Jane will come back. At this point, Lucy isn't really okay because her longtime best friend is moving away, and she seeks reassurance about when Jane will visit. Jane promises she will visit several times. Jane then asks how Lucy wipes, and they start talking about their wiping habits. Lucy cries again, telling Jane that is the reason they are best friends, because they wipe the same way. Lucy hugs Jane tightly, without washing her hands. After returning to their drinks, they get half-hammered and start confessing the nastiest things they have done. Lucy admits to peeing in the shower, which Jane thinks is pretty normal. Jane, on the other hand, reveals she kissed a girl in the 10th grade, which totally catches Lucy's attention. Lucy says it is a big deal for a girl to kiss another girl, and tries to explain her thoughts, but her words get all jumbled, so she just gives up. She is more concerned that Jane has never mentioned this before. They continue talking, diving into Jane's unexpected middle school fling. Danny returns from the restroom and playfully asks Lucy if she has ever kissed a girl. Jane, in a joking manner, suggests it might be Brittany from Lucy's workplace. Lucy responds, mentioning that she doesn't know if Brittany is a lesbian because she often wears dresses. However, Lucy adds that Brittany is quite flirtatious and has a tendency to touch her. Jane chimes in, noting how Brittany calls Lucy Luce as a pet name, despite being relatively new at the job. Danny, seemingly amused, encourages Lucy to consider dating Brittany. However, Lucy dismisses the idea, feeling unsure about it. Jane, feeling a bit tipsy and sleepy, wants to hit the bed. Lucy casually remarks that Jane always does that. Jane suggests that Lucy should visit her sometime in London, and Lucy agrees, jokingly saying she will bring a sandwich in a cooler when she makes the trip across the pond. They laugh. But soon after, Lucy starts crying softly in bed, catching Jane's attention. Concerned, Jane asks her what is wrong, reassuring Lucy that their friendship is solid and they won't lose their connection no matter what. Jane senses there is more to Lucy's distress than just missing her. When Jane reveals she kissed another girl, it opens a can of worms for Lucy. First, she realizes she's serious about wanting to make out with Brittany. Second, she's confused about her own orientation. Jane listens attentively and encourages Lucy not to suppress these feelings, but to explore them at her own pace. Lucy explains that she has been grappling with these feelings for a while, but has kept them to herself, feeling upset that she is only now confronting her emotions at 32, while others seem to have figured out their identities earlier. Jane comforts her, reassuring Lucy that there's no right or wrong timeline for self-discovery. It happens when it happens. As Lucy continues to cry, she begins to acknowledge things about herself she has never fully embraced before, admitting that she has never felt comfortable dating men and might actually prefer women. She turns to Jane for perspective, referencing Jane's experience of kissing a classmate when they were young. For Jane, it was more of a fun experience rather than a serious exploration of her sexuality. Jane contrasts this with her current relationship with Danny, which feels more traditional and serious to her. Curious to understand Lucy's feelings more deeply, Jane asks how she feels about being intimate with men. Lucy confesses that it always feels strange to her and that she hasn't pursued it much. Jane gently suggests that Lucy might identify as a queer woman, acknowledging the possibility that Lucy's feelings toward women are more than just curiosity or uncertainty. Lucy decides she wants to explore her sexuality to determine if she is indeed a lesbian. Jane wholeheartedly supports her, urging Lucy to meet other women and engage with the community of women who love women. Jane vows to remain in America until they can explore and understand Lucy's feelings toward lady parts and her sexual orientation more fully. In the morning, Lucy finds herself at work feeling tired, and Brittany notices her weary appearance. Kindly, Brittany offers to massage Lucy to help alleviate her discomfort. During the massage, Lucy shares with Brittany the news about Jane's impending move to London. The gesture makes Lucy feel better, and Brittany takes the opportunity to suggest they hang out sometime. Lucy agrees, sensing a potential new connection forming with her co-worker. Later that day, Jane invites Lucy for drinks together with Kat, a self-absorbed co-worker. Lucy isn't enthusiastic about spending time with Kat, but reluctantly agrees to go along. At the bar, Lucy quickly realizes that Kat will also be moving to London and joining Jane's team. Despite Lucy's reservations, Kat dominates the conversation with personal questions, including inquiries about their sexual history, which leaves Lucy uncomfortable and unable to respond. Throughout the evening, Lucy observes how Jane interacts differently with others, revealing sides of her life that Lucy had not been privy to before. This discovery leaves Lucy feeling somewhat out of place. Moreover, Lucy feels a subtle sense of competition with Kat, who seems to know more and care more about Jane. Before they set out for a hike and run, Jane senses that Lucy might not be fond of Kat, but Lucy brushes it off and teases Jane about their upcoming adventures in London. Jane brings muffins for them to enjoy during their hike, but controls what Lucy eats. As they trek along the trail, Jane probes into what kind of girls Lucy might be interested in, but Lucy playfully admits she has no clue herself. Jane also brings up Brittany's frequent touching, questioning if it means something more than just friendship. It's funny that Lucy hadn't considered it borderline harassment. Jane playfully suggests Brittany could be a potential starter girlfriend for Lucy, but Lucy quickly dismisses the idea, preferring to keep things low-key. She doesn't want her exploration of her sexuality to turn into a big public event, like a gender reveal party. Despite Lucy's hesitation, Jane continues to support her, drawing comparisons to trying different flavors of ice cream until finding the right one. Lucy starts off lightheartedly bantering, but soon her thoughts turn inward, questioning her own well-being. As they trek through the trails, Lucy grapples with existential concerns, wondering if she's running out of time to unravel her desires. Back at her desk, Lucy is working on a self-discovery. She discreetly Googles how to know if you're a lesbian, while Brittany works nearby, kneading a client's muscles. Startled by Brittany suddenly appearing behind her, Lucy fibs about her online search, trying to downplay it. Impressed by Lucy's sketches, Brittany praises her talent and expresses genuine interest in seeing Lucy's paintings someday, convinced they would be top-notch. Lucy modestly plays down her artistic abilities, but Brittany persists, suggesting they hang out outside of work. They make plans to visit Lucy's place. At Lucy's apartment, Brittany cooks as they share personal stories, particularly Brittany's experiences, including her work with male clients. Brittany mentions her desire to open a female-only studio because she finds women easier to work with. As the evening progresses, their conversation delves deeper into their romantic lives. Lucy admits she's never been head over heels, and they share a joint while discussing it. Brittany reassures Lucy about the excitement of anticipating new experiences and reminisces about her college boyfriend, whom she loved deeply. Brittany's openness about her experiences leads to a discussion about the spectrum of sexuality. She candidly talks about kissing girls herself, which surprises Lucy and makes her reassess her own position on that spectrum. Brittany encourages Lucy to embrace her artistic talents, asking to see her paintings stacked on the shelf. Impressed, Brittany urges Lucy to pursue her art more seriously. As they say goodnight, Brittany plants a kiss on Lucy's cheek, leaving Lucy with mixed emotions and feeling a bit sentimental. Jane and Lucy hit up a yoga class together, but Jane notices Lucy tearing up during their poses. Concerned, Jane waits until they're in the locker room after class to find out what happened with Brittany the night before. Lucy's voice shakes as she hints something big occurred, revealing where Brittany had kissed her. Now, she's unsure if Brittany likes her like that or not. Jane isn't fully convinced and dissects what that kiss might mean. Despite Lucy's hesitation, Jane insists they check out the Womb, a gay bar for women. At the bar, Jane and Lucy scope out the scene. Jane spots a cutie and makes the first move, introducing Lucy. The girl asks Lucy to dance, but Lucy freezes up and awkwardly turns her down, leaving Jane disappointed. Eventually, Jane drags Lucy onto the dance floor, where she gets cozy with another girl. Feeling overwhelmed, Lucy eventually leaves the bar. Back home, Lucy has a tearful solo session. Jane keeps texting her, but Lucy ghosts the messages. Meanwhile, Kat and Jane are on a Zoom call, with Jane texting Lucy on the sly about the previous night and her radio silence. Lucy is upset that Jane's kiss with a stranger hasn't provided the aha moment she was hoping for in her self-discovery journey. The whole night leaves Lucy feeling conflicted about her feelings for Brittany and her evolving understanding of herself. At the Cure Wellness Center, Lucy casually browses dresses online when Brittany once again pops up behind her. It's almost as if half the time, Brittany does this habitually. Brittany compliments an asymmetrical off-shoulder dress Lucy has clicked on, but Lucy shrugs it off, mentioning she's not really into those one-shoulder style dresses. Brittany disagrees and floats the idea of a try-on party, suggesting they could sip wine and swap outfits. Lucy finds the concept a bit forced, but Brittany insists it's a common thing. Slowly, Brittany's enthusiasm begins to wear down Lucy's resistance. Later, Lucy visits Jane at work, where Jane and Kat are in a meeting. Kat greets Jane enthusiastically and compliments her outfit. Lucy tries to return the compliment, but Jane doesn't seem pleased with Lucy's presence. When Kat leaves, tensions start brewing. Jane mentions she was offered to leave earlier, but refused. Lucy hopes Kat will leave soon, and even considers packing her things herself. Despite their best efforts, Lucy and Jane find themselves in a petty argument. Lucy tries to justify her behavior by explaining her sadness over Jane moving abroad. Jane, however, feels that Lucy isn't genuinely happy for her. The tension escalates until Jane closes the office door, signaling that things are pretty serious. Inside, Jane insists they maintain professionalism at work. Lucy, unable to hold back, confronts Jane about feeling bossed around and like her life is being controlled. They leave Jane's office amid a heated exchange, with Lucy accusing Jane of subtly influencing her decisions, while Jane defends herself by implying Lucy can't make decisions for herself. Their argument spills over as they walk around the office, trading insults and grievances. They discuss Lucy's dislike for Kat, with Jane suggesting Lucy might be jealous of their friendship. In the break room, Jane compares Lucy to Kat, the former being grayish and the latter being more fun. Their argument continues, detailing each other's flaws and how these have strained their friendship. Jane criticizes Lucy's career choices and asserts her own superiority. Unable to resolve their differences, Lucy leaves the office feeling unsettled. Danny tried to convince Jane to reach out to Lucy, but Jane couldn't bring herself to even mention Lucy's name as she rummaged through her stuff and found Lucy's things. Meanwhile, Lucy was torn, unsure if she should contact Jane. Ultimately, Jane decided against reaching out to Lucy due to their recent argument. Danny attempted to comfort Jane during this emotional time, suggesting that they might consider moving to London sooner than planned. Later at the diner, Lucy sticks with her usual order, a veggie burger, with sweet potato fries, and a black iced coffee. When Brittany arrives at Lucy's apartment for the try-on party, Lucy seems awkward and unable to muster her usual energy and excitement. They start the evening with wine, and it soon becomes clear that the try-on party is more about drinking wine and seeing each other's bodies than trying on clothes. Lucy tries on a turquoise bodycon dress, but it's too tight. Brittany helps her out, and her touch feels more intimate than usual. Lucy isn't sure if she's repelled by it or just feeling awkward about the closeness. Brittany praises how gorgeous Lucy looks in the dress and encourages her to keep it. Overwhelmed by the situation, Lucy suggests they take a pot break to ease the anxiety of modeling clothes. During their break, Brittany shifts the conversation to Lucy's artistic talents and her work as a painter. Lucy, who has always avoided discussing her art, deflects by asking Brittany why she hadn't pursued fashion herself. The tension between them eventually leads to kissing. For Lucy, this is a significant moment, marking her first experience of romantic intimacy with another woman. The next morning feels different, almost like a reality check after the intimacy with Brittany. She seems more distant, as she gets more excited to leave. Heading to yoga class, Lucy spots Jane and Kat walking out together. She tries to hide behind a tree, though her oversized hoodie probably does the trick already. Meanwhile, Jane pushes forward with her move to London, rushing things to save money and boost the business. Stu seems pleased about it all. Back at the office, Lucy approaches Brittany, feeling a bit uneasy about their recent night together. She asks if things are awkward between them now. Brittany reassures her they aren't, and even hints she'd be up for a repeat, just not that night. At Jane and Danny's place, Danny surprises Jane with breakfast in bed for her birthday, showing off his skills from his time at IHOP with eggs and bacon just the way she likes. But Jane seems preoccupied, worrying about whether she will call. Lucy usually does on her birthday. At work, knowing it's Jane's birthday makes Lucy feel a bit low. They are still in their Cold War. She hopes to hang out with Brittany, but things get complicated with Brittany's ex being around. Lucy nervously calls Jane but hopes Jane won't pick up. She just leaves a message. Lucy sees how Brittany is flirting with her ex, so Lucy gets screwed twice by Brittany. Meanwhile, Jane keeps replaying Lucy's voicemail, feeling the strain of their distant relationship. At work, Stu surprises Jane with a birthday celebration, where Kat presents her with a fake cake to resist her own temptation for sweets, although Kat really wants a cake, but Kat doesn't care. Stu gives Jane a Tate Modern gift shop credit that has been sitting in his wallet for years, and Kat offers a souvenir from a retreat she's visited. Later, over dinner, Jane and Danny discuss Kat's gift, but Jane's mood remains affected by her unresolved issues with Lucy. Danny stumbles through his words, admitting he can't follow Jane to London. He lays out that leaving behind his life in the States, family, job, and friends, is a deal breaker. Jane is caught off guard, assuming he'd be on board without realizing his reservations. This bombshell casts a heavy mood, made worse by Jane's birthday cake arriving. Back at Lucy's place, Brittany becomes worse. She is heading back to Portland to be with her ex temporarily, unsure of where things will lead. Those kinds of decisions usually lead to bad fates, but anyway, it's her life. Lucy is bummed but plays it cool. Meanwhile, Danny decides to call it quits with Jane and leaves. After all the drama with Jane and Brittany, Lucy invites Ben to go out, where she admits her new self to him to justify why she has been acting weird around him. Ben is fine with it. He takes it in stride but points out how sometimes he feels more like Lucy's gay best friend than a supposed boyfriend. They talk it over and decide to stay buddies, hugging it out in the end. For a fresh start, Lucy jumps back into the dating scene by joining a dating app for queer ladies. She also reignites her passion for painting, something she hasn't pursued in years, and rediscovers how much joy it brings her. Lucy begins meeting women. Nothing weird or bad, but not like great, either. Kat drives Jane up the wall during their stint at the hippie hammock sanctuary. They arrive expecting a serene experience, but find themselves lounging in hammocks. According to Kat, they are to do everything in the hammock like eating and sleeping. Hopefully they are allowed to leave and do numbers 1 and 2. A gray-haired lady emerges from a tent, spouting philosophical nonsense. Kat half-heartedly closes her eyes while Jane does not take it seriously. One of the members starts shouting as part of the process. Their shot at getting all zen is totally ruined by a downpour. The shaman keeps telling Jane to metaphysically bloom, but with Kat taking selfies and everyone else screaming, it is chaos. The shaman even tries rocking Kat's hammock to get her to chill, but it just adds to the madness. Jane finally snaps and yells at the shaman, and the old lady just gives up. Jane stumbles upon a small painting by Lucy while packing her belongings. This prompts Jane to call Lucy, and they decide to catch up over breakfast. This time, Lucy opts for something different, skipping her usual veggie burger. Over their meal, Jane shares that she will be leaving earlier than planned for London. With Danny not joining her in the fight with Lucy, she hastens her departure. Meanwhile, Lucy has already quit her job at the spa and returned to painting. She also reveals that she has started dating again. Jane is happy to hear about Lucy's new season of life. Despite their differences, Lucy and Jane manage to mend their friendship during their breakfast conversation. Lucy picks up Jane for her departure to London, even though Lucy's car is still not fixed. Despite this hiccup, Lucy surprises Jane by announcing that she will accompany her to London for a few weeks to help her settle in. Lucy firmly tells Jane that she will be in charge of her now. Lucy hopes it will all end well, considering she hasn't planned what to do if Jane leaves at that moment. Plus, she just realized that passports have expiration dates.